It is 1 a.m. You are exhausted, your eyelids feel heavy, and your body is physically begging for sleep.
Logic tells you to put the phone down and close your eyes.
You calculate that if you sleep right now, you will get exactly 6 hours of rest. But you don't do it. Instead, you open another app. You watch another episode. You scroll through a feed of people you don't know, doing things you don't care about. You look at the clock, 1:30 a.m. You feel a wave of guilt wash over you. You know you are going to regret this tomorrow morning.
You know you are destroying your health. You tell yourself that you are just lazy or that you have no self-discipline.
But then tomorrow night comes and you do exactly the same thing again.
Why do we do this? Why do we consciously choose to suffer tomorrow just to steal a few hours of awake time tonight?
If this sounds like you, listen very closely. You are not lazy, you are not broken, and you are definitely not alone. This behavior is not a failure of willpower. It is a psychological phenomenon that experts call revenge bedtime procrastination.
And strangely enough, your brain is doing this not to hurt you, but to save you.
Think about your day today. From the moment you woke up, who did your time belong to?
Did it belong to your alarm clock? Did it belong to your commute? Did it belong to your boss, your teachers, your clients, or your family?
For 12 to 16 hours, you were a functional machine.
You answered emails, you fulfilled obligations, you smiled when you didn't want to, and you performed tasks that were required of you.
You were efficient, you were responsible, but you were not free.
Now it is night. The world is quiet. Nobody is emailing you. Nobody is asking you to do anything.
This is the first moment in the entire day where you have absolute autonomy.
This dark, quiet time is the only territory that belongs exclusively to you.
And your brain, specifically the part of your brain that craves freedom, makes a desperate calculation.
It decides that regaining a sense of self is more important than sleep.
This is why it is called revenge. You are taking revenge on the daytime that stole your life.
You are stealing back the hours that were taken from you, even if it means cutting into your biological recovery time.
It is a rebellion. It is a silent protest against a life that feels like it is happening to you, rather than for you. However, while the intention of your brain is noble, the cost is high. We end up in a cycle of exhaustion, guilt, and shame. But to break this cycle, we first have to stop judging it. We have to stop looking at this habit as a bad addiction and start seeing it for what it really is, a psychological cry for help. In this video, we are going to dissect the anatomy of revenge bedtime procrastination. We have identified 3 distinct types of people who fall into this trap. Let us look at the first category. We call this Type 1, the dopamine zombie. If you identify as a Type 1, your nighttime behavior is defined by mindlessness.
You do not have a specific plan to stay awake. You do not sit down thinking, I will now stay up until 2 a.m. reading conspiracy theories about ancient civilizations.
It just happens. You pick up your phone to check one message at 10 p.m.
The next time you look up, 3 hours have vanished. What is happening inside the brain of a Type 1? To understand this, we need to look at the relationship between the prefrontal cortex and the limbic system. The prefrontal cortex is the CEO of your brain. It handles decision-making, self-control, and long-term planning. It is the voice that says, go to sleep now so we can be productive tomorrow.
However, the prefrontal cortex is extremely energy expensive. After 12 hours of making decisions, this part of the brain is chemically depleted. It goes offline.
When the CEO leaves the building, the limbic system takes over. The limbic system is primitive, emotional, and impulsive. It only cares about right now. And right now, the limbic system is starving for a chemical called dopamine. Modern apps are engineered to exploit this state. The infinite scroll feature on social media is designed to provide unpredictable, intermittent rewards.
This is the same psychological mechanism used in slot machines. Every swipe is a pull of the lever. Sometimes you see something boring, no reward. Sometimes you see something funny or shocking, dopamine hit.
This unpredictability keeps the exhausted brain hooked. For the Type 1 personality, staying up late is not an active rebellion. It is a state of sleep procrastination paralysis.
You physically want to go to bed. You might even be brushing your teeth or standing in the kitchen. But you cannot bridge the gap between wanting to sleep and actually moving your body to the bed. The friction of ending the dopamine loop feels too high for your exhausted prefrontal cortex to overcome. Now, let us move deeper to type 2. This is where things get more psychological and less technological. We call type 2 the passive prisoner.
For the passive prisoner, the phone or the TV is just a prop. The real addiction here is not content, the addiction is solitude.
If you are a type 2, you likely suffer from what psychologists call high-functioning anxiety, or are a people pleaser by nature.
During the day, a type 2 individual is hypervigilant. You are constantly scanning your environment to meet the needs of others.
You are the reliable employee, the perfect parent, the supportive friend.
You suppress your own micro-desires hundreds of times a day to maintain social harmony. I want to take a break, you think, but you keep working. I want to say no, you think, but you say yes.
This constant suppression creates a massive internal deficit. By the time night falls, you have spent your entire energy budget on other people.
The night becomes the only safe space where the mask can come off.
The mechanism here involves a stress hormone called cortisol. Normally, cortisol should drop at night to allow melatonin, the sleep hormone, to rise. But for the passive prisoner, the daytime suppression keeps the nervous system in a state of low-grade fight or flight. You feel wired. This is what we call the second wind. This second wind is deceptive. It feels like energy, but it is actually stress. You stay awake because, for the first time in 24 hours, nobody is judging you. No one needs you.
You can watch trash TV, eat unhealthy snacks, or stare at a wall and there are no consequences.
The tragedy of the type 2 is that you are borrowing happiness from tomorrow to pay for the misery of today.
You are terrified that if you go to sleep right now, you will wake up and instantly be back on the treadmill of obligation.
Sleep feels like a time machine that fast-forwards you to the next shift of work. So, you delay sleep to delay the return of your responsibilities. You are not fighting sleep, you are fighting the arrival of tomorrow morning.
While type 1 is trapped by dopamine loops and type 2 is trapped by the need for decompression, there is a third type.
Now we arrive at the most fascinating category. This is the twist that redefines the entire concept of sleep procrastination. We call type 3 the identity guardian. If you are a type 3, you are not mindlessly scrolling like type 1, and you are not just decompressing from stress like type 2. In fact, you might be doing something incredibly productive or creative at 2 a.m. You might be the person who decides to learn a new language at midnight.
You might be writing a novel, researching obscure history on Wikipedia, reorganizing your entire room,
or planning a startup business while the rest of the world sleeps.
Society often labels type 3s as night owls or criticizes them for having poor time management.
But psychology suggests something far more profound is happening here. If you are a type 3, your revenge bedtime procrastination is actually a manifestation of psychological reactance. Psychological reactance is a brain response that occurs when a person feels their freedom of choice is being threatened or eliminated. For the identity guardian, the structured, repetitive nature of modern adult life feels like a cage. The routine of wake up, commute, work, eat, sleep, repeat triggers a threat response in your brain.
Your psyche perceives this cycle as a form of death, the death of your individuality. So, staying up late becomes an act of defiance. It is a way of saying, I am not just a worker, I am not just a parent.
I am a human being with curiosity, with dreams, and with an inner life that has nothing to do with productivity. When you stay awake, you are not fighting sleep, you are fighting depersonalization. During the day, you wear a uniform, either literally or metaphorically. You play a role. But at night, in the silence, you can take the uniform off. The version of you that exists at 2 a.m. is often the real you.
It is the version of you that is creative, philosophical, and unburdened by social expectations. There is a biological basis for this too. Studies suggest that people with higher intelligence and higher creativity scores tend to have circadian rhythms that shift later. Text_segment. This might be an evolutionary feature, not a bug. In ancient tribal settings, having someone awake while others slept was crucial for the tribe's safety.
You were the sentinels. You were biologically wired to be alert when the environment was quiet.
Therefore, your inability to sleep is not a lack of discipline. It is a surplus of curiosity.
It is a refusal to let your life be defined solely by your economic output.
Your brain is prioritizing self-actualization, the top of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, over basic physiological needs like sleep.
This behavior protects you. If you simply went to bed at 10 p.m. every night and woke up strictly for work,
you might be well rested physically, but your spirit would begin to atrophy.
You would burn out not from exhaustion, but from a lack of meaning. Those quiet hours in the dark are the oxygen tank that allows you to dive back into the pressure of the next day. So, if you are a type 3, stop hating yourself for being awake. You are guarding your identity. You are keeping the spark of who you are alive in a world that tries to turn you into a machine. However, even superheroes need to rest. The problem isn't the motivation, it's the method.
The identity guardian has the right idea, but is using a tool that hurts the physical body.
We need to find a way to keep that sense of freedom without destroying your biology. To truly understand how to break this cycle, visualize your willpower as a metal spring.
Every morning, when your alarm goes off and you force yourself out of bed, you push the spring down a little. When you sit in traffic, you push it down further.
When you nod politely at a rude customer or finish a boring assignment, you are compressing that spring tighter and tighter. By 9 p.m., that spring is coiled under immense pressure.
When you finally get home, you expect yourself to gently place that spring into a box and go to sleep. But physics doesn't work that way. If you release the pressure all at once, the spring doesn't just sit there, it explodes.
It bounces wildly. That is exactly what your brain is doing at 1 a.m. Your late-night scrolling is the violent expansion of a psyche that has been compressed all day long.
So, the solution to revenge bedtime procrastination is not to buy a better alarm clock or to download a sleep-tracking app.
Those are surface-level fixes. The real cure is to stop compressing the spring so tightly in the first place. Science calls this addressing the autonomy deficit. Your brain is starving for control.
If you do not feed it small bites of freedom during the day, it will binge-eat freedom at night.
You need to integrate micro-rebellions into your sunlight hours. If you are a type 1, the dopamine zombie, give yourself permission to check your phone guilt-free for 15 minutes at lunch, but make it a conscious choice, not a reaction.
If you are a type 2, the passive prisoner, say no to one small request today.
Reclaim 5 minutes of silence in your car before walking into your house. If you are a type 3, the identity guardian, dedicate 30 minutes of your evening to your passion project before you get tired, not after.
When you sprinkle these small moments of me time throughout the day, you signal to your amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, that you are safe. You signal that you are still in charge of your life. The desperation fades.
You won't need to take revenge on the night because the day hasn't defeated you. Revenge bedtime procrastination is not a sign that you are broken. It is a sign that you are human and that you have a deep biological need for a life that belongs to you. So tonight, try this. Instead of angrily forcing yourself to sleep, whisper to yourself, "I have done enough. I am enough. I deserve to rest." Which type do you identify with the most? Are you the exhausted zombie, the selfless prisoner, or the rebellious guardian? Tell us your story in the comments below. We read every single one because we are all in this together. Take care of your mind. See you in the next video.